Welcome to Now Trending. In this video, we're going to talk about 6 funerals that went horribly wrong. Before we get started, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Now Trending for more trending videos. There are a few significant life events that you want to get right the first time. You want your high school prom to be an adolescent dream come true, your college graduation to be a watershed event, and your wedding ceremony to go off without a hitch. A funeral is definitely an event where you want everything to go according to plan. After all, people are in sorrow, and now is not the time to make mistakes. But we know that is not how the world operates, so these are top 6 funerals that went tragically wrong. Number 6. Still alive. A wake is an opportunity for individuals to say their final goodbyes to the departed, as well as, if you're like me, to double check that the deceased isn't still alive. Was that a nostril move? No, that's okay. It does, however, happen. People are mistakenly proclaimed dead and then resurrected at the funeral home with no resuscitation attempts or anything. This is referred to as the Lazarus syndrome. This typically occurs while the body is still at the mortuary rather than in the coffin at a wake. Usually, after 3 days of high fever, a 3-year-old Filipino daughter was declared medically dead in 2014. She was still alive according to the doctor who was present. That day, she was able to return home with their parents, but the tiny child died not long after. Number 5. Runaway casket. When the casket fell down a steep mountainside during a traditional burial in China, things went wrong. The casket then collided with several individuals below. 3 people were injured in minor to moderate ways. You may wonder why the casket was being carried up the mountainside in the first place. Graves in rural areas, according to feng shui practitioner Zhen Yi, are practiced with feng shui in mind. The mountain just happened to be the ideal location. Respect for the deceased is highly emphasized in Chinese culture. As a result, the coffin falling down the mountain was a tragic event. To be fair, the funeral personnel on site were not to blame for the coffin collapsing. The pulley rope on one side of the pulley snapped. Number 4. Drinking on the job. Christina Gilbert, 33 years of age, was buried in 2017 and her family and friends came to pay their respects. They noted that the grave attendants were still digging the grave when they came. Worse, the plot was littered with beer bottle caps. The attendant was thrown out by family and friends largely because he was drinking on the job, and the grave was dug. They had hoped for a simple funeral for Gilbert, but the tragedy turned the ceremony into something sad and upsetting. Heidi Lawson, Christina's sister, is visibly distraught in the BBC clip, expressing her displeasure at having to see your sister's casket stay there. It's not right. After several hours, they were eventually able to bury Christina. Number 3. Fallout. Tina Morales, a Los Angeles resident, buried her father, a renowned patriarch of her family, in 2021. Unfortunately, the casket's bottom collapsed during the funeral service. Morales has filed a lawsuit, just as we expected. According to the lawsuit, the family expected a coffin that would be dependable and strong, and that Universal Caskets, the maker, would handle her father's remains with care. That was not the case because he, fell out. Ariel Suarez, the owner of Universal Caskets, stated that he was unaware of the case and that he did not sell the casket to the Moraleses. In actuality, he blamed the disaster on the likelihood of the weight limit problem. Morales was understandably shaken by the situation, and it was hardly a dignified manner to enter the cemetery. Number 2. Where's the body? Julia Mott died of cystic fibrosis when she was just 25 years old in 2015. A memorial service for her was conducted at Mission Park North in San Antonio, Texas, a week after she died, on what would have been her 26th birthday. The memorial was a lovely tribute to a wonderful young lady. Her body was brought to a holding room where she would be burned the next day, except it didn't happen. The crew found both the casket and the body were missing the next morning when they arrived to fetch them. People were left perplexed and enraged by the lack of evidence of a forced entry, and I don't blame them at all. Bill Wilburn, Mott's ex-boyfriend, was one of the major suspects in the case. Wilburn was completely enamored with Mott, and he stayed suspiciously for 10 to 15 minutes after everyone had departed the memorial ceremony. The owner's subcontractor company, Beyer and Batel, was the other suspect. Beyer and Batel had a reputation and even had been sued a few months prior for unintentionally mixing up the bodies of 2 ladies. The subcontractors have unrestricted access to the site after hours. Investigators decided that the body was taken in the 3 hours between the completion of the funeral service and the closing of Mission Park North because of the nature of the burglary. Either suspect may be the ones cops are looking for. Wilburn, Beyer, and Batel, however, were not charged with the crime. Sadly, Mott's body has never been found. Number 1. Plagiarism's wrong, okay? We've all been warned about the dangers of plagiarism, losing your job, receiving an automatic failing mark, or even being suspended from school. Christopher Petito murdered his wife in 2015 in Johannesburg, South Africa, and delivered a lovely, poignant eulogy that was plagiarized. Of course, no one realized he was a serial killer at the time. However, once he was apprehended, the truth about his actions became apparent. Petito had adopted his eulogy from a tribute given by Jennifer Atkins. 5 years previously, Atkins, who had nothing to do with the program, had died. That was 6 funerals that went horribly wrong. We want to know, what topic should we do next? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and would like to hear more from us, subscribe to Now Trending and turn on notifications before you go. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.